Hey everybody, it's Kathy here. Lovely to see you today. We're coming live from the UK and the USA, Atlantic. Today I have the lovely Luann with me. Luann has become a dear friend. She's a member of the community and she's been, gosh, how long have you known me, Luann now? 4 or 5 years?
4 to 5 years, yes.
Yeah, tell everybody your story.
Well, so my son Brent passed in April of 2018, and it came about very unexpectedly, very, very shockingly to myself and the family. But Brent had had a roommate in college that had lost a younger brother about a year and a half before Brent transitioned. I had met his mom through college fraternity events, and of course she reached out to me when Brent passed. Brent had comforted his roommate and helped him get through the loss of his brother. So it was a hard thing, but she reached out to me, and then about 3 months later, she reached out again with this long Facebook message that she sent me. And she was telling me that she had gone to see a medium and that the medium had brought Brent through. Well, she figured out it was Brent and wanted to get a message to me that he was okay. And from that moment on, I was engulfed. I mean, it was on. I was going to explore everything I possibly could and started reading books and doing as much research as I could because I now had to connect with Brent. I reached out to the medium that had brought through Brent to Rhonda and had my very first reading with her on his birthday in January of 2019. And I was a believer from then on, that moment. I mean, it was very transformational for me. It gave me a renewed energy. And
what was your belief system before, Luann, just out of interest?
I'm a Christian. I feel that you go to heaven when you transition, but I never had anyone say anything about being able to communicate once you cross the veil. I don't think I ever had any messages come through from any loved ones who had passed, but I was afraid of death, and I'm no longer afraid of death. I think we're here for a short time to experience life here on earth, but the real living happens once we cross the veil.
And how different did it make you feel when you realised you could communicate with Brent and you got messages back directly to yourself through this medium?
I thought it was incredible, and I had to know more, and I scheduled more readings, and it unfortunately took me about a year and a half, I think, until I found you, and you were the main connection I needed. It was like everything opened up. I mean, readings previous, like I knew they were talking about Brent. There was enough evidence there, but it didn't give me the warm and fuzzy. You gave me the warm and fuzzy. You brought through his personality. You brought his smile back to me. You showed me his humor, and I knew he was with you, and I knew there was a good communication connection between the two of you, and that just made me feel so much more close to you. All the trust in the world that everything you told me came directly from him.
That's beautiful. That's really beautiful. Well, that's really lovely compliment that he feels that he can blend and move my mind through to get that evidential information that it requires. And it's so true, actually. You've touched on a really valid point, and I don't think we've talked about that in any of the other Inspired Connection podcast shows, is actually when spirit is in the house, it isn't just what you say, or sometimes it's how you say it, and it's the personality that comes through, which some people can be very surprised about. The reason that happens with me is that I've worked on being a trance medium as well as a mental medium, so I allow the spirit world to come that little bit closer. And sometimes in the case with Brent is that you get this lovely personality and you get some of their mannerisms and gestures that come through in hand signals and kind of the way that they like to articulate their humour, which is really, really cool. So yeah, it's a very lovely, fortunate position to be in. Tell me how life continued from that point onwards, because now you've got a knowing that your son's there. How different did that feel?
Which is such a comfort to know that he walks beside me everywhere I am. I've had dream visitations with him. There was one night in particular, we had a rental property that I took over management for him after he passed. And I was doing a lot of maintenance at the house, and I had put a mattress in one of the bedrooms, and I was sleeping there. And It's a little bit eerie just to be there alone and no furniture except for a mattress on the floor. But he came to me and with his full body weight just laid on me and gave me the biggest hug. And I wasn't frightened. And it's because I had gone through some of the readings and I knew that he's always with me. And it's the best feeling in the world when you can have a validation, a physical validation.
As direct as well. So powerful. Elizabeth touched on that in her interview about when you feel this physical hug, you just know. It's like, it's never quite the same as having that physical body here, but it is just such a powerful thing that just gives you this feeling of reassurance and love in your heart center, and it can carry you for weeks beyond that moment, can't it? It can really be enough that I know that he's okay, I know that he's well, everything's fine. Tell me about your journey after that. You started getting involved in support groups and
I became, Rhonda was a member of HPH, Helping Parents Heal, which is an organization that it's an emotional support that takes parents out of the darkness and gives them hope. They call us Shining Light Parents, and they just have an abundance of resources online. They have books that they recommend for reading. And so I kind of dug into that. I attended a conference in Phoenix for that, and it was so overwhelming. I mean, there were close to 1,000 people there at the first conference I attended, and it was so incredibly informational. But most importantly, that was the first time I got to meet you in person. And that was,
I remember that.
I was a huge fangirl.
Because we talk so much online as friends as well as through readings. And then the moment that we saw each other in the flesh, you couldn't get the words out. You were stood there and I was like, Lou, it's me. Lou, it's like, speak to me. Speak to me. It was a funny moment. It was funny.
Yes, it was. I was a little embarrassed, but I got past it.
It's so great to see you.
I mean, it was definitely starstruck moment.
It was really fun. We had a great time though, didn't we? We had a really
absolutely. And just being able to be at a conference and be your authentic self and put your mask down, take it off, and be surrounded by people who understand everything you're going through, everything you're feeling. It's an incredible community of family is what it is.
You went on your road. I know you knew people when you got there that you'd met online, but you really did travel independently, didn't you? So I just want to sort of say to the viewers that do attend these kind of things, so you don't have to know everybody. You'll get to know people there. Don't be scared. It's just lovely to be in this community that understand what you're going through, and it's support, but without really needing to support. It's just easy, isn't it? It's just
it's very easy. It's almost as you've known people for years, even though you may have only connected with them online previously, but getting to see them in person and then going back 2 years later and seeing them again. I mean, just the relationship is so much more solid, and it's an incredible opportunity to be able to go to conferences and retreats. Did the retreat in Connecticut with you, and it was a different level. It was a much smaller, more intimate group, and getting the one-on-one with people and getting to know people so much more intimately, having the opportunities where you cry together, you laugh together, and the healing of the doing yoga and sound healing, sound bowls, and just learning how to meditate and try to bring spirit in. It's just such a high that you're filled with warmth and love and joy, and your child is right there with you the whole time.
Yeah, it's really important, isn't it? Because you feel it when you go to the big conference, because you've got so many light workers in the same location. The energy is definitely a high vibrational one. When you're on the retreat, it's very intimate. It is still a very high vibrational level of energy, and so you do feel a little bit like tearful when you leave or when you've got to leave, because there's so much joy. And I think people are really surprised. We're on grief retreats and conferences, but we're laughing and we're having a good time and we're storytelling together and we're sharing their journey and our new journey, and we're really intertwining all those threads, which is very powerful. And then I got fortunate to meet you on a more intimate retreat as well, and you started to learn Reiki, and you've got really into Reiki now, I understand. Some people don't know about Reiki, and what I think is really of value, Lou, is that for me, Reiki will hold people in a space. Sometimes when you're in early grief, you can't take everything in. So Reiki is one of those beautiful arts that when you put somebody in front of the Reiki energy, it doesn't really matter what stage of grief they're in. It will hold you in the space exactly where you are. Would you agree?
Yes, for sure, for sure. It brings on a calmness and relaxation. It helps alleviate stress, and it can promote healing. And you have to be open to the opportunity and the possibility to let this energy flow through you. And it's an amazing feeling. When I give Reiki, I get it back. So it's a 2-for-1 deal.
I was very fortunate to be one of your clients. I got to lie down and be actually one of the receivers. And I have to say, your energy was very powerful. It was lovely. I really, really enjoyed it. And I think
Thank
that's
you.
the other thing is like, try these things out for yourself because you will feel it. You don't you might not believe it when you hear about it, but when you sit in that house with a really good
Yes.
therapist, it can transform your life and make you feel different. What's been your favourite moment from the retreats? What's been your favourite memory from the conferences? Have you got any favourite moments where you think, oh,
The bonding that takes place. I think it's just knowing that you're going to see them again at another retreat, and you're going to continue this relationship with
so it's
and
more
have,
like it's a bond of friendship and a new group of friends and a community.
yes, the friends circle that I had prior to Brent passing, it's so much different now. They can't relate. They can't understand. They often don't know how to act around me anymore, knowing that I've lost a child, and they just can't relate to that. The conversation,
Was that quite lonely, Luann?
it went away once I became more established in the grief community that I've put myself in. The circle that I have surrounded myself in has completely taken away that loneliness. It's just, I mean, even family doesn't really understand and often don't have the words. And the biggest thing is say his name. I mean, my son is still a part of me and with me. Say his name. I mean, let's talk about him, have that conversation.
It's still really hard.
It is. I miss him terribly. To go from having conversations with him 3 and 4 and more times a day to just having, it's more of a one-sided conversation. I'm trying to tap into that spiritual side now, and I think Reiki's helping me do that. Meditation's helping me do that. Attending mediumship circles with you, it's helping me be able to hear his messages and responses back to me for sure. I get messages from him, and he leaves me gifts, and they're mostly feathers. And I find his feathers and I collect them. And throughout the year, I save them all, and I put them in clear Christmas ornament balls at the end of the year and hang them on my Christmas tree every year. So that's become really a new tradition and something that I hold very dear.
How important are those little rituals?
They have huge meaning, and I try to label where I collect them when I'm traveling, and where they've come from, and I can look at them and I can immediately go back and have that memory of the little gift he left for me while I was on my travels, and it means so much.
That's so beautiful. That's so beautiful. And if you were to talk to any of the viewers listening about your journey and sort of give them any recommendations or top tips on what you would say to somebody starting this journey, the club that nobody ever really wants to join, what would you say to them?
Take time to grieve. Don't overwhelm yourself with busyness so that you're not grieving. Read the books, join grief groups, talk to people that can understand. Just know exactly where you are. Even if they just sit there and listen, you have an opportunity to voice. It's so important to be able to reflect on memories that you've shared with your child and help others get to know who he was or she was through that. I'm always picking up little things that I see that I want to hold on to, and I continue to educate myself. And one of the things I learned is that this year in Chinese astrology is the year of the snake, and that's a year of transformation, renewal, and growth. And I'm excited to see what opportunities await me this year. I feel like this year is going to be very transformative for me. I'm learning that everything happens for you and not necessarily to you, to seize the opportunity and the adventures that lie ahead.
And you strike me as somebody who has found joy again. You're smiling today. You still miss your son, but you're
Yes.
extremely brave as well, Lou. You've had to work at this. This didn't just come to you. You put yourself into the support groups. You felt attracted to certain things and you followed that energetic pull within yourself that maybe
Yes.
brought you to myself and other therapists and people around you, community like Rhonda, who is going to come on in a few weeks' time with Bob to tell their stories. Yeah, really awesome. So we've got this lovely network of people around us, haven't we? I feel really blessed as well. It's not just you. We're really, really lucky. And, what other things do you do to memorialise Brent? What other things have really kind of give you comfort?
We set a place for him at the table for holidays to include him. Drink his favorite drink on his birthday and say cheers. Just little things like that. He had a great group of friends at college and they stay in touch with me, and they usually send me flowers on Brent's birthday and to honor him and their friendship and brotherhood. But I keep pushing forward. I keep pushing myself to learn more, to explore more. I want to travel and I want to educate myself and be on a journey of self-discovery, and I want to live life to the fullest while I'm here. And in doing so, I'm going to fulfill my purpose.
You came to London. You came to the London experience. How did you find it, Lou? What was good about that? Do you London?
I was so overwhelmed with London. It was the most
It's fair to say
fabulous.
you fell in love with London, didn't you?
I did. The most fabulous city. It was New York City and so much more. I was in awe everywhere we went and moving around and in the city and seeing the architecture and the history. And it was just so breathtaking everywhere we went. And it was just an incredible experience all the way around.
We crammed a lot in, didn't we?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
We started, just to share with the viewers, because they maybe don't know what we did. We went to see that actually went up one of the viewing galleries. We looked over the top of London to start with. So we looked at differences in perspective, didn't we? We looked at
50 floors up.
Absolutely, one for every year. And then we went on adventures. We went to the Tower of London. We went to Sanborn. We did Westminster Abbey. We did boat trips down the Thames. We went to Greenwich. We did the Jack the Ripper tour. We did all sorts, didn't we? Had such amazing time. And one thing that really impressed me is I think the Jack the Ripper tour, which I have been on before, by the way, but it was the guy that was doing it, Luann. Do you remember him? At the end,
I do remember him.
So spiritual. And what I loved about it was I almost felt like I was getting a teaching on a different level through the different people that we were interacting with and meeting, almost like he was conduit. But he said something really profound. At the end of his speech, he was talking about how that area of London, East End of London, that was affected by those awful crimes was an area of poverty and an area that didn't have lighting and women didn't have the vote then, that this series of events that was over quite a short period of time actually in the scheme of things, not that that makes any difference, it's an awful thing that happened and should never have happened, but it transformed the area because the shock of what happened meant that the suffragettes came out and started to fight for the vote. The smog and everything that was in that area, the pollution started to be addressed and get cleaned up. And he talked about how that area suddenly got street lighting for the first time and things began to change, the community came together. And so we see out these appalling moments of darkness, these incredible moments of light. And it was kind of, it shouldn't take that to happen to bring that light forth. Of course it shouldn't. But it was the way that he had composed his speech at the end was really powerful, wasn't it? It really was. Sort of remember thinking, we were so tired at the end of that day because we'd walked for miles and we were like, oh, I just want to go to my bed. And then, literally, he gave this killer speech. I was like, wow, that guy should be a prime minister. He was amazing. But it was kind of cool. I just little things like that, seeing London through the eyes of somebody else as well. I realised how much got on my doorstep that I take for granted and that I'm complacent about. For me, it really re-energized me as well. You know, I was supposed to be the host of the retreat, and I absolutely was. But I actually started living London through your eyes, and that was kind of magical for me. And so I felt that we laughed. There wasn't a lot of tears, was there? We were laughing a lot. There was a lot of smiles. We really enjoyed nice quality meals. We went to nice places. We did the history. And then there was a few little moments where Spirit did little surprises, Lou, that really, like on the route to St Paul's before I joined you that day, and this guy just walks up to us, here's a little bit of a conversation. He said, "Are you going to St Paul's?" I was like laughing because, like, in London, rarely people stop you and start a conversation. He was like, "I used to be in the choir in St Paul's. I need to tell you all about the history that you won't hear on the tour." And he just starts waxing lyrical and then telling us these little nuggets. Yeah, and I was giggling because, you know, some of the people on the retreat were American, and straight away he homes in on the American chapel and starts telling me the whole history about the American chapel. And I remember thinking, gosh, you can't make this up. Like, Spirit are with you everywhere. I've obviously done my research and my homework ready to present it all to you, but their Spirit are saying, listen, leave it over to us. We've got it all in hand. We've got it all sorted. And they clearly did. We felt their presence, and it was a wonderful giggle. And even the things, you know, I always laugh. It's a little bit like when Debbie was on and we were talking about her getting lost in the woods in Connecticut. It's the moments that you don't anticipate that are really funny. And I think one of my, you know, Jane won't thank me for saying it, but the moment where she'd gone to the coffee shop and we couldn't find her, and then she used her son to kind of guide her back to the hotel, and we were all panicking because, like, why is she not picking up the phone? Where is she? Lost in London. And it was just, I mean, they were just hilariously funny moments after we, you know, rediscovered she's fine and she's like herself with a little wonder and stuff. But they were just like heartfelt moments, and the changing of the guard and seeing like all the sort of, you know, there's a lot of pomp and ceremony, and
it's just so incredible. I mean, that was fairy tale stuff for sure. The Buckingham Palace, the royal jewels, the changing of the guard, and the pomp and circumstance with the horses prancing about. I mean, it was so fairy tale. And
yeah, it's fun. So we're hoping to do it again. We're hoping that people again, we're not going to do the same event because we've got a couple of people that want to come back for the first time. But we're going to do London at Christmas, and we're going to sort of have another experience. So if there are people that are out there that are listening and you think, oh, I'd love to come with Kathy and Luann to London again, please join us. We'll be doing a bit more.
Yes, I cannot wait to see the Christmas lights.
I know, it's going to be really, really special. Yeah, I think friendship and community, it's one of, you know, Elizabeth talks about collateral beauty, but it is, people are really beauty, aren't they, Liz?
Absolutely.
I think when you lose a child or lose anybody that's close to you, it's not just a child, because I know that we've got viewers that are listening that have lost siblings or parents or partner. I think there is like it's almost like a level of compassion that you can't, it does crack open your heart. You know, people say like, it cracks your heart to let the light in, that famous quote, but it's like, it does, doesn't it? It does change who you are as a person. And
definitely, it's definitely changed.
And the need for connection between one another is so strong. It's so powerful. And I think, you know, you've got to be careful because you're very vulnerable when you're in grief. You've got to make sure that you've got the right people around you.
It's with the readings I've had with different people. Not always has my son come through, at least not initially. And it's been interesting to hear from my grandfather, for instance, or my grandmother, just because it's like, yeah, they're there. Because they just never came through before. And my mom passed a little over a year ago, and I had a reading that had already been scheduled that was taking place about a month after she passed. And lo and behold, who was the first one to come through? It was my mom. And I mean, it's just being able to know they're okay, that they're wholly healed and they're happy and they're living the most vibrant lives. I think you do have to be careful, like you said, you know, who you're reaching out to, and you have to go into it with a very positive intention that what's going to come through is nothing but for the good. It's just all for good. It's all for healing. It's all out of love.
Would you say that it's really important in terms of for other people that are listening that are kind of guiding their own way and maybe not as experienced or as knowledgeable as you about certain communities, that they seek out recommended people or people that are certified, and like, because how important is that in the journey?
I think it's very important. I do. I think it will give you so much hope and healing that without hearing from the loved one it's going to be lost on you. It's going to be lost.
Well, it's lovely to see you, Lou. Thank you for spending the time with us, and
Well, thank
I'm
you.
going to see you soon in Canada, which is
Yes. We cannot let this go without talking about Canada. That is going to be so amazing, and just more healing, more sound healing from you.
One of the reasons that I want to do the retreats is because I like to use sound, the human voice. I like spirit to transit and channel and to raise the vibration and to do healing on a more sonic level, if you will. It's kind of a bit crazy amazing, but it's fun, isn't it? And we all do feel a bit giggly because we're in those higher vibrational energies, and who knows what's going to come out when it gets to the trance stage and spirit are talking on our behalf and working more deeply with us. But what I found is that this sort of, I don't know, the mix of the spiritual things, we're going painting, we're going whale watching, we're going on touristy sort of events and getting out. I mean, there's nothing nicer than just having spirit wherever you go, but at the same time, these deep dives that you get on a retreat that are really intense, where your vibration is expanded and your aura expanded. And we all lift one another up, don't we? We all kind of, like, you talked about shining light. It's like we're definitely glowing by the time that we finished on the top.
Absolutely.
And there's always a story, and there's always something that happens that you don't anticipate, which is really cool. But who would have thought in Newfoundland? I was like, Alison was on when I was telling the story of how it happened. I mean, it's kind of crazy. I remember saying to Barbara, like, well, where's Newfoundland? Where is it? Forgive me if you're from Canada and you know Newfoundland really, really well.
Yes.
But, she's like, my husband's here shouting at me, Kat. Michael's shouting at me, give Kat the beach house keys. I'm like, what beach house? Like, what a beach house? Where? She's like, well, he wants you to come to Newfoundland. And I was like, Newfoundland? Like, where's Newfoundland? And she gets this map out, and I was like, oh, in the middle of nowhere. Like, oh, like that's going to be getting a logistic challenge to get people there. But who knows? Yeah. The spirit want you to do something. They get where there's a will, there's a way, isn't there, Lou? And it's always funny.
Absolutely.
These things fall into place. We're fully booked on week one. We have some places on week two. So there are a few people listening and you think you want an adventure in the middle of Canada, please come join us. Just email me on mediumcatb@gmail.com. We're in for a lot of fun. We're going to be doing lots of connection workshops. We're going to be doing spirit talks. We're going to be doing some trance work. We're doing sound healing. We've got energy healing. Luann, I'm sure, will share her Reiki with us as well, which will be really, really cool. And we're going for walks, talks. We're going historian coming in to give us the history of the area and the island, which is actually quite magnificent. There's a lot of amazing things have happened in Newfoundland, and so he's going to share his experience, and then we're going on painting for the afternoon. I even laughed at the painters called Michelle. I was like, what's the chances of it being the feminine of Michael? And we're going to explore the island, and we've got the regatta in St John's, which is going to be amazing for Andy's birthday, which is kind of cool. And then the following week, for Ava's birthday, which will be really cool, when Stu's going to fly in. So we can't say better than that. So it just becomes a little bit like a one big family, doesn't it?
There will just be so much light, and so much, like you said, like the vibration's just going to be through the roof.
It's cool, isn't it?
Yes. And I think they set us up.
I do too. I definitely know it wasn't my idea to go to Newfoundland. I have no offence to anybody. I was like, I can't wait to go. I'm really, really excited. But like, would I have gone if Spirit had directed us there? I don't know. I don't think it would have been on my radar. And I guess that's the adventure when you're on this spiritual journey, is it's unpredictable. You don't always know the set destination. You don't know. And I was saying actually to a lady this morning that I was working with, when I worked in the corporate life as a head of buying and retail executive, you've got a strategy, you've got your plan for this next 6 months, or maybe possibly the year. You might have a short-term strategy, a long-term strategy. You've literally identified everything that you're going to work towards. Yes, you might tweak it because there might be changes in the market as you go that you didn't anticipate, but you've always got a level of pull, push, levers to kind of pull, push. The difference of working with spirit is that you just don't have that. It's not that you don't have the safety blanket, it's just that you don't have that structure in place. They don't always reveal everything they want you to know at once. They unfold it. And it's almost like these moments of like, wow, it's just like, okay. And so you can't really plan that far ahead, because the more that you move forward with whatever they've given you, you've always got to stay in the present. You're moving and working with whatever they've given you in the moment. And then suddenly, a curveball comes and you're like, oh, okay, we're off over here. You're feeling your way. You get to all the places you're supposed to get to. You get there very jolly and happy. You're definitely a lot less stressed and a lot less anxious because you're not having to work hard at it. It's like they're making it move and work for you, and you can surrender a little bit more. And what I'd say to everybody that's going down the spiritual journey in whatever guise, whether it's breathing or you're just exploring spirituality's sake, these inspired connections, what they do for me, or why they're so powerful and why I want to talk about them, is that once you realise that you can surrender and you can use these signs and synchronicities to make your life happier, healthier, you have more vitality, you disperse less energy, you have a lot of laughter in your life, you have balance. It's not that bad things don't happen. Lots of crazy things happen to me in my life, but somehow spirit come and they teach me out of those situations the good that can come out of them, or that, the learnings or the lessons that I can use to help other people. And they lift us up in elevators, but we have these wonderful sort of adventures that perhaps we wouldn't have. Like I said, I don't think I would have gone to Newfoundland in Canada. I can't wait to go. I'm so excited. The closer it gets, I'm thinking, I can't wait to see the whales. I can't wait to see the countryside. I can't wait to learn about Canada. I can't wait to meet Canada's people. I can't wait to meet the local communities. Barbara was saying the former mayor wants to come fishing with us and stuff. It's like, it's going to be crazy amazing. And I just know that out of that, some new nuggets or kind of learnings will come, and there'll be a lot of excitement along the way. So I guess life is less predictable, isn't it? It's kind of, we just don't know what the next movement is, but we don't have to worry about it. We don't have to plan for it. Wherever we're supposed to be, we'll be guided into that position, and we can just sort of relax. It's kind of cool. Do you
yes, we have to expect a detour. There's always a detour.
Do you think that's just crazy me, or is that your experience of it?
No, that's my expectation, that we'll have some things planned and we'll be heading in one direction, but we're going to detour this way. And it's exciting.
It happened in London, didn't it? It's like,
it did.
A moment with Westminster Abbey, because Westminster Abbey wasn't on the original agenda, was it?
Right. Yeah.
We all felt this pull that we had to go, and then we got there and it closed, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's the last day. It's closed. And then the little tap on the shoulder saying, did you want to come into the Abbey? It's just like, yeah, it's been amazing. You remember we went to the ceremony at the end, and then we were sat in the like wooden pews, and it was like next to where the royal family normally are for the weddings, like listening to the choir singing.
Yes, and the choir was angelic. Just angelic.
Roof, didn't they? It's an incredible building anyway, but it was, I don't know, it was even more special. It was like, I really felt like I'd won the jackpot. I was like, who needs the tour when you can sit and have a whole experience? I'm not religious, but I love sacred places, and I love seeing culture at play. And there is nothing better than the finest choir in England singing next to you in a pew next to you. So it was just magical. I really enjoy that spirit can inspire. We saw all our loved ones punking us or teasing us or kind of wanting to play, and I think it's happy and healthy for them as well. I think they really love the interaction, and I think they love to see our faces when these wow moments happened.
Yes,
they're really magical, weren't they? There's lots of memories from London. I still smile. There's moments where I'm like, I sort of chuckle to myself, where it's like, I can't believe that happened, or that was sad, and it's like Jan singing in the taxi. There was just so many moments. It was so cool. I really, really enjoyed myself, so I can't wait to host
Yes.
somebody else for Christmas again. You fancy Christmas in London with me and Lou? You know where we are. Drop us a line and see what we can do. Yeah, there's lots of adventures ahead. So great to see you, Lou. Thank you.
Great to see you too.
And looking forward to seeing Rhonda and Bob in a few weeks' time.
I can't wait for that.
I
Yes.
know, it'd be really amazing to sort of see their side of the story as well, which would be kind of cool. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, for having me. Much love.